Would the Boston Celtics really cut Lonnie Walker after training camp? Why sign him at all? Where does he fit on this team? It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thanks to Blockbuster Brand, it's holiday season. Drop Drew in the mix, and 3 from KP. No, we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Juice, still Beantown's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the C's game in Locked On after. Karalis on the breakdown. Clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic, documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all C's nation. Rain and J's, how we started raising business. How we finish. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. It's right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. I'm here for you Monday, Wednesday, Friday, this week, next week, and then I go back to 5 days a week. Actually, this week, I think it's going to be 4 days. You're going to want to subscribe to this show if you haven't yet, if this is your first time, because I have a special guest scheduled to come on. Think I'm going to be able to do this for a Thursday and Friday show, a two-parter. When I say special guest, I mean this is a person. I'm not going to say the name because if it gets rescheduled, I don't want to go crazy, but this is a person who is getting a ring. So I'm telling you, you're going to want to be here for this one. This is a person who has been seen carrying the Larry O'Brien trophy. So make sure you're subscribed. I hope this person does not reschedule, but check out my socials. Once the show is recorded, it will be revealed. But I'm telling you, you have seen this person carrying the Larry O'Brien trophy. Subscribe to get your podcast, get a drop directly to your device. Watch the show on YouTube. If you're new to the show, I'm John Karalis. Used to play. Now I'm covering the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. Been doing this for almost 20 years now. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel has a special for everybody now through September 22nd. You can bet $5. You get a 3-week free trial to NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Talking Lonnie Walker in this one because after the mailbag where I was asked about the potential for a Lonnie Walker trip to the G League, a lot of the comments, I saw comments, people were like, what are you, nuts? Blah, 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 blah. Well, Shams Charania said that there's a possibility that he does get cut. Tim Bontemps on the Hoop Collective said, I don't know if he's going to make it through training camp. It is an Exhibit 10 deal. There is the possibility that he will get cut. And you have to entertain that possibility. So let's explore this for just a second. I don't know that Lonnie Walker has sunk to this point yet in his career. He's a viable NBA player. He is a worthwhile NBA player. He has flaws, but I don't think there's anything in his game that suggests he should be on tenuous ground coming into camp. So I get that it's an Exhibit 10. I get that that's typically a training camp deal. And we do have to entertain the possibility that part of the reason why you sign somebody to this deal is so he can get cut. Under this scenario, he isn't picking up what the Celtics are trying to teach him. He is still not willing to play within the team parameters, right? They're going to need him to stand in the corner and catch and shoot. And maybe he doesn't want to do that. Maybe he signed with Boston because they're the only ones that are willing to sign him. And this was the only way they're willing to do it. In which case, first of all, that would be surprising. I'm not saying that he's the type of guy that should have his choice of teams, but if he's willing to sign this kind of deal, why wouldn't Denver give him a shot? They need somebody who can score. Why isn't one of these other contenders? Milwaukee could use him, I think. Right? Couldn't they? Philly? One of these competitors could use a guy that could score off the bench. Why wouldn't they? Miami. I just I don't understand that I don't believe that there's zero market. What did he do last year that would suggest there is so little interest? Is it a complete collective bargaining agreement thing? That doesn't make sense because minimums still exist. He could still sign somewhere for the minimum and still be a little to no risk deal. And anybody could have signed him to the Exhibit 10. But I I feel like I just don't understand what's going on with his particular free agency. I don't understand why he's on this path supposedly to the G League. Because why sign him at all? Why sign Lonnie Walker at all if you're just going to cut him and be like, go see what you can do in the G League, where I know the Exhibit 10 gives him a bonus like $75,000 for going to the G League, but also any team can sign him. He's not exclusive to the Celtics. He is exclusive to the Celtics if it's like a 60 days. If the player plays for that team for 60 days, he gets the bonus. And so there is, I guess, incentive to maybe not do that, but also it's $75,000. It's nothing to sneeze at. But Lonnie Walker's made enough money where you say, okay, I'm going to pass up the $75,000. If you go to the G League for 3 weeks and you dominate the G League, which Lonnie Walker should absolutely dominate the G League. I want to be clear about what the G League is and the disparity in talent. If you go to the G League and you're any good, you're supposed to dominate the G League. You're supposed to look really good in the G League. If you can't succeed in the G League, that's a problem. There are not a whole lot of NBA players at that level. The G League is supposed to be a developmental thing. You throw a few guys there, you throw your rookies in there, you teach them the system, but it's kind of a couple of steps above summer league. It's not that it's not that competitive. It's not that great. And success in the G League doesn't necessarily mean success at the NBA level. We've seen it. But regardless, if Lonnie Walker goes to the G League, I don't understand how he doesn't score 40 in at that level. And another team within 2-3 weeks will be like, oh yeah, we want that. And they can come in and offer him a contract and he's gone. He's out. Are you doing his agent a favor? What's the deal there? And this is all if he's on his way to getting cut. I understand that he's not a world beater, but he's not camp cut material. I don't think. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. When I think about where does he fit on this team and these reports that I'm hearing, I'm just kind of surprised that it's gotten to this level. And if you send him to the G League, that has the potential to actually mess with the rest of your G League development. I don't want Lonnie Walker playing for the Maine Celtics because that's where Jordan Walsh is going to be and Baylor Shireman's going to be and Anton Watson's going to be and JD Davison. They're like those guys, potential contributors down the road for the Boston Celtics. I do not want them competing for minutes with Lonnie Walker. That's not what I want to see in Maine. Let me continue that thought here because I kept calling this a no risk deal, but there is one risk. It's that G League. It could mess up the G League team, which is weird to say, but it has that potential. I'll talk about that in just a second. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book, and it's #1 for a reason. Not only is it a fun way to scroll through and throw a couple bucks down if you want to spend some of your disposable income, they have the tools to help you gamble responsibly, and they have odds on everything. The Celtics opening night, the Celtics were 5.5-point favorites over the Knicks on opening night. You can go have some fun there. Throw $5 down on something now through September 22nd. Just once. Just throw $5 down on something. You get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. Let me tell you, watching sports on Google TV, they have the new multi-view where you can put 4 games on there at once. Imagine on a Sunday afternoon, you get to put 4 games on, watch your fantasy players. You just keep track of them all. Pop over to the one you want to hear, and it's great. All you got to do is bet $5 on FanDuel between now and September 22nd. You get that deal. Visit FanDuel.com. Download America's #1 sportsbook. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Whoop. Just on the YouTube side, just got to take my graphics down. Make Locked On NBA your second listen. Just recorded Locked On NBA with Jake Madison. We talked Brandon Ingram, who is kind of not happy in New Orleans. We talked about which players in the NBA which young players in the NBA could eventually play until they're 40. I picked one of the Boston Celtics. And we talked about if the Celtics were not to win a championship, who would we pick if it's not the Celtics? So we took the Celtics off the table. Who are our picks? It's all on the Locked On NBA podcast. So I've been saying the one risk for Lonnie Walker for the Celtics in that signing, the one risk the Celtics face in this Lonnie Walker situation is actually sending him to the G League, which sounds like the one thing they can do to be like, it's not a big deal. But you send him to the G League. Now he is in a situation fighting for his career. He's 25 years old. All of a sudden, he's sitting there. Imagine you're Lonnie Walker. You're the 18th overall pick. You go to San Antonio. You're coached by a legend. You end up going to Brooklyn. You end up going to LA first, actually. Then you go to Brooklyn. You've made millions of dollars. And now all of a sudden you're sitting there in Portland, Maine. Beautiful Portland, Maine, but it's still Portland, Maine. It's not an NBA city. You're playing for the Maine Celtics. You're sitting in a hotel room or an apartment that you're not used to, a small little place. You're used to something better. And you're looking at yourself in the mirror going, what happened to us? What happened? That's how I would be. I'd be sitting there going like, I cannot believe I have to go through the G League to earn my place back in the NBA. Well, I'll show them. And every minute that Lonnie Walker is on the floor is going to all be about Lonnie Walker. It's all going to be about Lonnie Walker. Do you want that around the guys you're trying to develop? Do you want that around Jordan Walsh, Anton Watson, Baylor Shireman, J.D. Davison? Do you want that around these young guys who you're trying to get acclimated to your system? Do you want to have Lonnie Walker down there just being all about Lonnie Walker? No. If you want him to learn and find a humble spot where he's going to be part of the team, I would think you want him on the actual team. Make him feel like he's part of the NBA. And understand, okay, I do have to stand in line behind these guys because they all just won a championship. So even if he thinks he's better than Sam Hauser or Peyton Pritchard, got to stand behind them in line. They are ahead of you in line. And you have to understand that. They just won a championship with these guys. So you're not going to beat them. You have to earn that. And that's fine. You can earn that in practice. You can earn that through your workouts. You can earn that through being a good teammate. But putting him in Maine, I don't see it. I think that is a bigger risk than anything here. And if that was the case, you just don't even bother signing him. You don't need him that badly. Just lean on Jaden Springer. I just feel like if you're going to bring Lonnie Walker in, you're going to have him compete for the minutes that are available. And minutes are available for the Celtics. There is a place for him to carve out a role. And I broke it all down on Boston Sports Journal. But the way the season is lining up, it makes sense that the Celtics would see Lonnie Walker out there and go, we got a real bench role out there that can be won. And it can be split between two people. Because if you look at the minutes and the distribution, especially without Porzingis, but it really doesn't matter. Porzingis or no Porzingis, there's 48 minutes at the center spot, whether it's Al Horford and some combination of Cornette, Tillman, and Keita, or Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis, and on back-to-back nights, it's some combination of Cornette, Tillman, and Keita. It's still 48 minutes there in that spot. So I'm not too worried about whether it's Porzingis or not Porzingis. There are minutes on the perimeter, especially early. So when we break this down, there are 240 minutes, 5 players at 48 minutes apiece. So there's 240 minutes to be divided amongst 5 positions over the course of a 48-minute game. That adds up to 240 minutes. Your starters, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, Al Horford, they averaged, so Derek White, 32.5, Holiday just under 33, Brown, 33.5, Tatum just under 36, Al Horford just under 27. I want to limit these guys over the course of the early part of the season. So let's give Al Horford, let's just take a couple minutes away from everybody. Let's give Al Horford 20 minutes, 24 minutes, 30 minutes apiece for Derek White, Drew Holiday, 31 for Brown, 33 for Tatum. Or let's give them 32 minutes apiece, whatever, 34 minutes apiece. If we stay within that time frame there, first of all, that's my November, kind of December-ish timeline. At the end of December into January, you can start ramping it up a little bit, but I want to limit these guys' minutes coming in. Let's just get their legs together. Let's let them go through the soreness. Let's let them recover, take a little bit more time to recover. Just give them a couple of minutes on either side of their substitutions. Not a huge deal, but just take it down a little bit and ramp them up later. They have the depth to handle this. After bringing these guys down to an appropriate amount of time, I'm looking at 22 minutes apiece for Pritchard and Hauser, which is what they averaged. After you factor in the backup bigs, there's 68 minutes in my math. 68 minutes for, I think, first of all, Pritchard and Hauser are going to be guarantees. So that's 44 minutes between the two of them. So that means there's 24 minutes left. 24 minutes left with Jaden Springer, Lonnie Walker, and throw in Jordan Walsh, Baylor Shireman, Anton Watson, J.D. Davison. There is a role here for Walker to get minutes. I think, forget the G League. You have him in camp. This is a good opportunity. Congratulations for signing him on a non-guaranteed deal. Take advantage of that. Don't send him to the G League. This is a great competition. Let's talk about that in just a second. "24 minutes of basketball. That's a lot. You can give all of it to one player. I think it comes down to a competition between Lonnie Walker and Jaden Springer. And boy, if you could fuse the two of them together somehow and create Jaden Walker or Lonnie Springer, you'd have a hell of a player. Because if you took Lonnie Walker's offense with Jaden Springer's defense, you got yourself really a top level player. But that's not how it works. You got Springer, who's an NBA level defender with offensive issues. You've got Walker, who's an NBA level offensive player with some defensive issues. Both can have their moments on their weak side of the floor. They could improve that weakness. And if either of them improves, if one improves and the other doesn't, then that player gets a little bit of a head start. I think we're looking at Springer or Walker, and it could be a matchup dependent thing. It could be, hey, we're facing a team that has an incredible offense. We need a guy that can really defend, and Springer's going to get a bunch of those minutes. Hey, we face a team that has an incredible defense. We need to have another offensive player out there to really stretch this defense. Now it's a Walker game. As I've said before, if Lonnie Walker comes in and is willing to take the DNP, if he says, please don't send me to the G League. I will sit here and be a good soldier and wave the towel and be all in. Even if it's a DNP, I understand it's situational. I will take the DNP in stride, totally happy, as long as I can honestly compete for the other slot in a different situation. So in some games, maybe the other guy gets the DNP because you need more offense. As long as I have that opportunity to compete for those minutes, I will take the occasional night off, unsolicited night off. I would rather have that if I'm Lonnie Walker. I would rather have that if I'm the Celtics. And who knows, maybe one of those guys just pulls ahead. Maybe Jaden Springer finds a jump shot and becomes a legit 3-and-D guy, and Walker it becomes clear that Walker is not going to fit anymore. Well, in that case, you release him, and maybe it's got to be before his guarantee day, but at that point you release him, you say, hey, sorry, it's just not working. Good luck. But I don't see the downside to carrying Walker and Springer, other than you're spending money and tax and all of that stuff. But you're in it. You're already spending the money. Spend a little bit more. It's too late to nickel and dime with the 15th spot. I know it's expensive. I know it's much more exponentially expensive than it is on a normal minimum deal. I get it. But you're in it. You've made this choice. So just go for it. Jordan Walsh is not going to get those minutes. Shireman's not ready. Watson, let me just say, Davison is not ready. I don't think he's going to. I'm surprised that he's back at all, I'll be honest with you. Anton Watson is, I think, a little bit ahead of those other guys. And maybe if there's an injury, maybe if Jaylen or Jayson sprains an ankle and is out for a week, maybe Watson can get some minutes. Right now, it's early September. Right now, I feel comfortable with that because I like his feel for the game. But otherwise, I don't see him really competing for a lot of minutes at this point. To me, those final 24 minutes come down to Springer and Walker. And it's important to note that that's November, December, kind of January thing, because January, February, March, you got that slide in and out of the All-Star break. The minutes are going to start going up. If you add 2 or 3 minutes to the starters, that's 10 to 15 minutes. All of a sudden, that 24 goes down to 14 or 10 or less, and it becomes a little bit of a fade out kind of thing. But this is why when it initially happened, I think there's a best case scenario where he challenges Pritchard and Hauser, because those guys averaged 22 minutes a game last season, and that's what I expect them to play. And they could be in line. Hauser especially could be in line for more. And he looks like he could get 25, 30, and that would cut into what these other guys could get. But if Walker is a best case scenario, then maybe you don't play Hauser quite as much. Just how it goes. Maybe Springer steps in. One of those guys could eat into some of the minutes. Maybe Pritchard drops a little bit to 18. The fine line is a couple more minutes here or there on the bench because the other guy is making his run and making his case. That potential exists. So, and there are those back-to-back nights where there could be a few minutes here or there. There could be a lot more rest days. Maybe Holiday plays fewer back-to-backs. Maybe Derek White gets a few more days off, even though he's been extraordinarily durable in Boston. Maybe you just start giving him a day off here or there and take advantage of this depth, and Walker or Springer can get into that, get some of those minutes. However it shakes out, I just don't understand this reporting of him getting cut and going to the G League. I know it's possible, and I know we have to prepare for the potential that's what this is. I could be wrong. I could be misreading this. It could just have been a favor. It could have been a flyer. It could have been maybe I'm just not evaluating Lonnie Walker's status in the league anymore, or properly. But I just don't think that a 25-year-old guy with his track record is done in the NBA. I just don't see it. I don't think that's where we are here. And the new collective bargaining agreement might play a role. And if that does play a role, then I'm curious, side note, to see if this has any sort of impact on the players union dynamic, right? Like the best players got their money, but what about the rank and file? What about these guys like Lonnie Walker? If these guys have to now fight in the G League for their money because of this collective bargaining agreement, I don't think the players are going to be that happy with their union. If that's the case, we have to see the long-lasting impact. I don't know if that's even the case. I'm just kind of throwing ideas out there where this might go. I just don't think Lonnie Walker is done. I don't think he's G League material. I don't think that it makes sense. The Celtics have minutes. They have opportunity. And Walker fits nicely. That was a great call by Brad Stevens. I like the idea. I like the idea of the competition. And however it shakes out, I think Walker and Jaden Springer could really be in a nice competition, and that could really be helpful. And the winner, or maybe it's just they both get minutes depending on the situation, I think this could work out really well. The Celtics could use their depth, keep their guys fresh, hopefully keep guys healthy, and then March, April, May, back to full strength, 7-man rotation, and the other guys understand that, and that's where we are. I don't know. It's interesting to me that people are just so, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to make the team. Am I missing something? Am I missing something? Is it me? I feel like he's a legitimate bench player in the NBA. Let me know what you think in the comments section of the YouTube page, because the more I see, the more people seem to like pull back like that. I don't know. The more confused I get. Let me know. Give me your thoughts. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I crazy? Tomorrow, I will have a podcast with a special guest, a member of the Boston Celtics, provided there is no change in schedule. And make sure you're subscribed for that, because I think that's going to be a good one. I think that might be a two-parter. So subscribe on your audio feed if you're new. Subscribe on the YouTube page. You can watch this conversation. It's going to be a good one, I promise. And then I would love it. You should probably tell everybody. Share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.